Hello and welcome. This is me, Mr. Toffee, joined by me with Alleef from Kakuchopurei, both of us from Kakuchopurei. We just heard a lot of stuff that popped up in the past few hours involving DC Comics, or rather, DC. What's the line called again? Warner Brothers, right?
The DCU.
Okay, the DCU. Yes.
Yeah. Previously it was the DCEU, so now they're going with the DCU, the DC universe. So it's exactly like MCU, but it's DC. So DCU.
Okay, so the DCU. That's what's been announced. So, two of the showrunners for this particular new age of DC Comics, which is James Gunn and Peter Safran, have unveiled the first part of this brand new slate. So this first chapter, this first slate is called Gods and Monsters. I believe that is probably a subtitle from an old Superman comic, maybe, I'm not sure, or a Justice League comic. Do you remember? You're the big comics guy here.
I don't remember what comic specifically, but I do remember there was a movie, an animated movie called Justice League Gods and Monsters. But,
Perhaps.
Yeah, but it was an Elseworlds movie, so it wasn't in the main continuity or anything like that.
Yeah. We'll be talking a bit about the Elseworlds stuff much later, but for now we just want to focus on the big news that just popped up. Like James Gunn and Pete Safran, they mentioned like a number of new films, some which sound typical and a lot which is like, you could say there are a lot of deep cuts, let's just say that. So let's start with the first one, an animated 7-episode series called Creature Commandos. So you and I may not be that familiar with this particular brand, so I'll just read it off from the story that we saw, as well as from the Variety side and from Hollywood Reporter, who both publications which actually broke the news. So we've got a team of classical monsters assembled to fight Nazis. This is like the modern take of it. So it was an old comic back in the 60s, 70s, and then now we have a new version. So based on the artwork that we've seen probably the guy who either he's going to turn to a werewolf, the guy on the left side, if you're looking at the Hollywood Reporter story or the picture that you have on your article. You have the guy on the left, you got the mer woman, you got the dude.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure, it's probably a guy on fire. And then two characters, the Frankenstein monsters. You got like the male and you got the bride, robot, and apparently Weasel is gonna be appearing. Weasel from
the Suicide Squad movie.
Yes, so he ran off to join this group now, basically. So I don't know if the Suicide Squad are counted as part of this new slate. Maybe not, but yeah, we're gonna see this friendly little fellow in this cartoon.
I'm not very familiar with Creature Commando, but I know one of the characters in it, Frankenstein. He's also in the Justice League Dark team.
Frankenstein's monster. I mean, that's as a creature, right?
Frankenstein's,
because he's a doctor.
He's also a major magical character in the current DC Comics universe. So I guess he'll be the leader, I guess. I mean, who else is in the... no. It's Rick Flag Sr. So he's the father of the guy from the Suicide Squad.
Okay. All right. So you see the dad, but I remember when I saw the cover of Creature Commandos in the wiki page I looked earlier on before this podcast, this little show, there's a werewolf. So I'm not sure if one of them is a werewolf or maybe they'll probably have an addition of that later on in the team. Who knows? But 7 episodes, standalone-ish, which will lead to the next project, most likely. I mean, these projects are all mentioned, but we don't know how they're going to go in order.
Yeah.
So the next one is Waller.
According to the article, Variety article, wait, let me see. Creature Commandos and Waller will come before the first movie. Yeah.
Okay, the first movie would be then what?
Would be Superman Legacy.
Oh, okay. So before, so we're gonna see Creature Commandos and Waller. So let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. I mean, maybe just we'll talk a little bit about Waller, which is a spin-off of Gunn's own HBO Max hit series Peacemaker. So clearly a follow-up. We'll probably Viola Davis returns as the actress, and since it's gonna be just on her, we're gonna see a lot more expendable villains and anti-heroes per se lah.
Yeah, probably she's gonna be using them as her new Task Force X, and yeah.
So who do you
But,
want to see popping up in this new Suicide Squad? I mean, she's gonna form a couple anyway, so
Yeah, I hope. I hope John Cena comes back as Peacemaker somehow. Like, even in a small role. Yeah.
okay. Maybe the ones who survive in the second Suicide Squad movie, like Bloodsport and a couple of
Oh
others.
yeah. Probably King Shark and who else? Not a lot of them were alive. Most of them.
Definitely. R.I.P. Polka Dot Man. He
Yeah.
was my favorite. But yeah, you can probably just
yeah.
find a couple more. I mean, there are probably some heroes or villains. Hey, maybe Black Manta might be it. Who knows? He gets kidnapped or whatnot. Yahya Abdul Mateen might make an appearance, for all you know. Yeah, so now we're gonna go to the movie you mentioned, Superman Legacy, a movie that is coming out in July 11, 2025, or at least is predicted to come out around that time.
Yeah.
So from the synopsis, it's not an origin story. It focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. He is an embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way. He has kindness in a world that thinks kindness is old-fashioned. So we're gonna get a probably rootin' tootin' Superman show, just like the Christopher Reeve shows, most likely, but with the budget of a 2025 film. So your thoughts about this, especially with, Henry Cavill not being in the role?
I think they're going to go with a younger Superman for this one. So yeah, it'll be more like the Christopher Reeves version. And I feel like it's very curious that they're using All-Star Superman as the image to promote to start promoting this movie. But All-Star Superman is like Superman at his prime. And I mean, it's not exactly a young Superman. This is a established Superman. So yeah, I'm not sure what to expect from this one. I just hope it'll be a more comics accurate Superman than Man of Steel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The one where he's trying to be a little broody in that sense, thanks to Zack Snyder's writing. So
I don't want to see him snapping any necks.
Man, there's a bunch of memes that actually pop out from there. That's okay lah. I just hope that this new Superman, I mean, basically is like complete opposite of Brightburn, and another Superman show that James Gunn had a hand in making. So complete opposite. It'll be brighter, more hopeful. The S stands for hope, all that thing. For real. I think it's way too soon to predict which actors might be in because
there's no director, there's no actors yet. I mean, the movie itself's like 2 years away, so there's no details or anything yet.
Let's go to the next show, Lanterns. So following the parting of ways between DC and Greg Berlanti when they're working on the Green Lanterns TV series, that's basically canned. So now we're gonna have a new show using Green Lanterns called Lanterns, and it's starring Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. It's, I believe, a TV series, and it's gonna be in the vein of True Detective, except instead of horror, it's sci-fi and space stuff. So it's just space cops doing space stuff. Your thoughts?
I feel a bit like I was expecting something more grander in scale. Like if it's more like True Detective, then it's just gonna be a more personal story and a smaller scale. We won't see like epic, galactic spanning scale like we usually see in the comics. So I think they're just trying to. I mean, it's a TV series, so obviously they can't do like big stuff right away. But yeah, I'm looking forward because Green Lanterns are my favorite DC superheroes. I feel like they have so much potential. I mean, in the comics, all their best storylines like Blackest Night, War of the Green Lanterns, the war against the Yellow Lanterns and stuff. So I mean, it's okay that they're going to start small, but I hope there's more coming but it's a long time coming. I mean, I've been waiting for a new Green Lantern movie or series since 2011.
The less said about
Yeah.
the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, the better. It's got quite a bad rap, and also this TV series, the previous one, the Green Lantern's one that's been planned for God knows how long.
Yeah.
It's just being in the running with the bad Warner Brothers management. So I think if people can wait a little longer, hopefully some fruit can bore out of it. But I think they have to, I believe the duo, James Gunn and Peter, they have to make sure that all the bigger stuff gets the bigger guns per se. So Green Lantern has to be relegated to a TV show lah, in that sense. And the next show we can talk about is Paradise Lost. It's described as a Game of Thrones style drama set in the all-female island that is Wonder Woman's birthplace. So nothing much except a lot of power play and political stuff going on.
But I feel like this is gonna be a harder sell than, I mean, it's like watching Gotham. It's like Gotham doesn't have Batman. I mean, it's before Batman. So
this is before Wonder Woman.
Yeah. I mean, Gotham did well enough, but I mean, would people really be interested in watching something like without the main, before Wonder Woman? I mean, we'll see, but yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't really sound interesting to me too.
Yeah.
And then we go to Brave and the Bold, the introduction of the DCU Batman, the one that's going to be in all the DCU movies, the interconnection of it all. So this is going to have Bruce Wayne and also introduce Damian Wayne, the bad Robin, I guess, the one trained by the League of Assassins, as we all know, as we've seen in the cartoons, in comics, and in the video games
son of
as well.
Batman, yeah.
Yep. So the movie will take inspiration from the Grant Morrison run of Batman. So that's gonna be it's built as a strange father and son story. So we know who Batman is. They obviously haven't casted a new Batman for this particular role.
Yeah.
And I mean, what are your thoughts about seeing a live adaptation of a story that's been done in animation for quite a while?
I'm really excited to see the Bat Family because I've been asking for a Bat Family movie for so long. The last Robin we got was like Batman and Robin, like.
Well, technically it was Gotham Knights, right?
Oh yeah, Gotham Knights. Yeah, but we've never had a proper Bat Family in the movies before. So I hope Peter Gunn, does them justice by properly introducing the Bat Family. Because if that's gonna be Damian Wayne, then there's probably gonna be all the Robins before him too, like Dick Grayson, Nightwing, Jason Todd, Tim Drake.
All right.
All of those has to come before Damian. So it's not gonna be easy to establish like the whole Bat Family.
Actually, for this particular movie, I think it'll take an interesting take because we know how Batman's origin story is. I mean, doesn't need a flashback, all that. So they can just jump straight to apparently Nightwing is established, Batgirl is established, Oracle is already established. So this guy, the Damian Wayne, the kid, will be a new addition in that sense, lah.
Yeah.
So you can just wrap up like all that origin story in like the first 5 minutes in a pretty cool, slick intro, and then Damian Wayne's story, father and son, but except the son is basically a sociopathic. I mean, lacks people skills because he's been taught by ninjas, so just like literal ninjas. So I can see a really good story happening in that, and Batman's always going to be a huge sell regardless. People know the origin story. People know how Batman was formed, all of that. We have so many. I think James Gunn is going to play it smart, hopefully, because he has to assume that all of us know the pop culture. Everyone knows how Batman's origin story goes.
The same thing with Superman. I hope.
Same with Superman. Yes.
I hope he doesn't just rehash like all the stuff we already know.
Yeah, that whole thing we know can be summed up in 5 minutes in an intro for a film. Then new story for the next maybe 1 hour 55 runtime, 2 hour movie.
I think a good example of this would be like Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
Like they didn't bother retelling like Spider-Man's origins because everyone knows how he got his powers. how Uncle Ben died and everything. So there's no need to show all that again.
Yeah, Spider-Verse also did the same thing too. If animated
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
and Marvel can do it, DC
Yeah.
can do the same thing too. Just something new, basically. I just
Yep.
hope that these 3 years are what would pay off in that sense. And speaking of new, I guess we can go to the next one, Booster Gold. So this is going to be about a loser from the future who uses basic future technology to come back to today and pretend to be a superhero. So it's basically imposter syndrome as a superhero. So you must be familiar with Booster Gold, right?
Yeah. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. I mean, wait. I'm still a bit confused on that. I mean, is the Blue Beetle movie going to be part of this new universe?
I don't think it's mentioned
I
in the
have to
story.
look.
We'll just go through the
Yeah,
list
yeah,
as we get together, as we
yeah.
just read it
Yeah,
all.
but yeah. About Booster Gold, yeah. He's a great character. I mean, he's quite underrated, and I think he's also relatable because he doesn't have any powers, so he is kind of like all of us. Like we're just trying to do the best with what we have.
And I
Yeah.
think in the comics, or at least I've seen the Justice League cartoon where he's a bit of
Yeah.
an arrogant guy, but
Yeah,
when push
Because-
comes to shove, he will do what needs to be done, lah.
because he goes and he portrays himself like this hotshot hero from the future when he's actually not. You know.
Cool. And there's another movie that seems interesting, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So it takes its cues from the Tom King written miniseries that came out the past few months, more or less. We will see, according to what James Gunn and Peter said, we will see the differences between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time, versus Supergirl, raised on a rock, a chip off the Krypton block, and who watched everyone around her die and be killed in terrible ways for the first 14 years of her life and then come to Earth. She's more hardcore and not the Supergirl we're used to be. So unfortunately, I think they have to, as much as I like Melissa Benoit from the Supergirl series, the
Yeah.
CW, like the perfect Supergirl, because of how hardened this character is, they might have to change up they have to change characters lah. Maybe not, who knows, but
Yeah.
I think they have to find someone else to cast. I mean, would you rather they say Melissa Benoit or someone else?
I think they should go with someone else.
Okay.
Someone fresh, someone new.
And
if they
did you read the Supergirl World of Tomorrow? Woman of Tomorrow series?
I did. I read parts of it. It's about Supergirl like going to space to all these planets, and then it's a bit like Star Trek. It's like Supergirl goes to all these planets and tries to help the people, and then but she faces a lot of moral conundrums, like that challenges her own moral convictions and stuff like that. So like whether or not to kill like these aliens or something like that.
Okay. This
It's a bit dark. It's darker than the usual like Superman story or Supergirl story.
So I think it's gonna match what the movie has described, like in that sense. I think I saw a cover of that. Supergirl was carrying a sword, right? She has that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I can see that happening in the actual movie itself. That's gonna come out in a couple of years. So yeah, I think that sounds very promising too. Like a bit more hardcore Superman with the sword, and like you said, solving moral conundrums and making.
Because they have to do something different. I mean, they can't do the same thing with Superman that they're doing with Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think I have two more to catch up if I recall. So
Yeah.
one of them I believe is something that's very, I would say, I mean, I've seen this comic book before, the whole Wildstorm thing. The Authority. So back in the 90s, it's a property back in the 90s too, like superheroes as a group who take extreme measures to deal with problems. So basically, I'm just going to quote some stuff here from the article. They are kind of like, the Authority is kind of like Jack Nicholson and A Few Good Men. They know that you want them on the wall, or at least they believe that. Not every film or TV show is going to be about good guys versus bad guys. It's going to be giant things from the sky comes and good guy wins. There are white hats, black hats, and grey hats. So the Authority, basically, you got Jenny Sparks, you got Midnighter and Apollo and a couple of them.
Apollo.
And they are very, how do you say, they deal problems not as heroes, but as like for the greater good kind of characters.
Yeah.
So you may not see them as good people, but at the same time, they are saving the world somehow. Making those calculated decisions. And also, I did like the series because it's written by Warren Ellis, one of my favorite writers. And Frank Whiteley's also did some great artwork for that comic book too. Any thoughts about the Authority on your end?
Yeah, it's gonna be I think this is gonna be like like how Invincible and the Boys made like superheroes more, they're not your typical superheroes who follow the same like moral convictions and all that. The Authority is gonna be the same, but for like superhero teams.
Yeah, and DC in that sense.
Yeah,
and imagine the conflict they could cause if they're gonna cross paths with Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. And the last film is gonna be Swamp Thing, a horror film that promises to close out the first part of the first chapter, the Gods and Monsters thing. So we do know that Swamp Thing was a hero, I believe, an anti-hero of sorts. There was that TV series that came out, even though DC said it's cancelled, but there are 8 episodes of that already out, unofficially.
That series is actually good.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know why they put the kibosh on it. It's so strange.
I read it was because of some weird tax thing, like to save money or something.
That really sucks. We saw that. Looks great. I suspect the movie is just gonna be a condensed version of what you and I saw with that miniseries, basically. Like one innocent guy who's researching the swamp, he gets possessed, he becomes the Swamp Thing, anti-hero, and you've got probably all the Alan Moore stuff coming into nature versus nurture, all that stuff going on. And since they say this is the subtitle of this first chapter is Gods and Monsters, he may be involved in maybe bringing the more exotic monsters or enemies from the DC universe somehow. Not from Swamp Thing, but maybe the bad guy whom Swamp Thing fights. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I can see these things happening, kind of clicking in my head. I might see a Solomon Grundy popping up, or the stuff that made Killer Croc how he is. Maybe it came from where Swamp Thing is. You can, I don't know, you can make stuff up in that sense that makes sense to tie it all together.
He could also be a great start for a new magical part of the DC universe. Like they could put Constantine in there, Dr. Fate, because he the Swamp Thing, he interacts a lot with Constantine and Dr. Fate and all the other magical characters, Zatanna, So I'm looking forward to seeing the movies that explore more of that stuff. I mean, we haven't seen much of that in the movies, DC movies yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's actually a bunch of news about whether before the whole new Gods and Monsters slate comes out, they have to sort out all the other movies that are gonna come out or at least finish production. So this includes, you can correct me by the way, you've got Shazam! Fury of the Gods coming March 17, The Flash coming out on June 16, Blue Beetle, which we mentioned earlier on, August 18 this year, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, December 25.
Yeah.
So your thoughts about all these movies coming out this year, 4 DC movies. It sounds packed, don't you think?
Yeah, I feel like they're just trying to get it all over with so they can start preparing for the new DCU. But in the video that I put in my article, the one where James Gunn is talking about the new slate, he confirmed that The Flash The Flash is the movie that will reboot the whole universe.
Oh, using the Flashpoint thing he does, right?
Yeah, I think so. But if that's the case, then I mean, if we're still getting Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 after that, I'm not sure how that fits into the continuity.
Continuity may not so much matter, but if it's a new slate, but actors who actually have great drawing power do matter. So obviously Ezra Miller is out the window because of the stupid shit he pulled off, but Yeah, Jason Momoa. If he is the guy who brought in all that money for DC with Aquaman 1 and most likely Aquaman 2, then James Gunn, he will be the smart person to recast Jason Momoa as maybe an Elseworld Aquaman, or an Aquaman who is slightly similar but in the new reboot lah. Like, they don't actually have to, make an origin story. That's already done. So you can just have him there, and maybe he could be a bad Aquaman. It could be a good Aquaman. Like, Elseworld characters, new slate, new universe, 616 stuff, it's, Earth Prime and all that stuff. So you can do a lot of things. It's just that the actor, if they're a huge draw, they'll remain the same. So in terms of like Hollywood stunt casting, all that, it's not an issue. Jason Momoa is most likely going to come back as Aquaman, just a different kind of Aquaman in the new slate.
Yeah, or he could be Lobo or something.
Oh, Lobo would be interesting. That would be interesting. Although
fan casting him as Lobo.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Let's see what else we got. All right, so I'm looking at the pieces of news here. Yeah, Henry Cavill. He's not him. He's not actually fired. So who knows? Maybe he might come back, or maybe if James Gunn can find a way to bring him back in the future Superman movie, that could be in the cards.
There's apparently they're still doing the Elseworlds Superman movie, the one with the black Superman.
Oh, that could be Icon for all you know.
No. There is actually there are two black Superman in the comics. They're from different universes. One is, I think his name is Calvin Ellis.
All right.
I don't know much about him. Oh wait, the only thing I know about him is that he's black and he's Superman.
Yeah, right.
But the other Superman is he's a bit like Barack Obama. He's president on his Earth, so they call him President Superman.
Okay. So, cool. So
I'm
it
not
could
sure
be one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's that, and a couple of other movies we missed out. No, I think that's about it, right? I think we covered most of it. Cool. Yep. So I think we know what your summary would be. Maybe you can just tell us like how you feel about all these All right. They mentioned that Teen Titans Go is still gonna be around, an Elseworld thing. The Batman sequel to the Joker, the Todd Phillips Joker, still gonna be around. I'm
a bit disappointed they're not going forward with Young Justice.
Oh right, Young Justice. Oh,
Young Justice is quite an underrated like animated series. It's not as good as the old Justice League cartoon, but it's almost as good in my opinion.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame.
And they're setting up a lot of stuff with that, and then suddenly it's not getting a new season, so it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, that really sucks. But yeah, apart from that, what do you think about all this, like the slate? Your final thoughts before we wrap up the show?
Overall, I'm really hyped to see what. Obviously, these are all like early plans. There are no, there's no directors attached. There's no actors. So all we know really are just outlines of the projects and what they could be. But as James Gunn said in the trailer, all of this could change in like 2 years. Like dates could be moved around, like more movies could be added. So yeah, I'm excited to see the future of DC.
Right, cool.
Yeah.
I guess I share the same sentiment, especially when it comes to stuff like The Authority and maybe even the Creature Commandos one. Even though I've never actually read that, I am interested in seeing like some old DC properties popping up in the modern kind of way. And yeah, that new Superman, All-Star Superman, the movie might actually sound pretty good too. I basically share the same sentiment, but I'm also cautiously optimistic because, hey, like you said, 2 years, things can change. Maybe some movies that are coming out this year might overperform one or the other to the point where James Gunn and Peter might have no choice but to, basically work it into the whole structure, the whole Gods and Monsters thing.
because a lot can happen in 2 years.
Yes, a lot can happen.
Yeah.
And with that, this is me, Mr. Toffee, and Alleef Comicslord signing out. Thank you so much for checking out the show. If you like this kind of stuff that we do with the little impromptu video podcast, I'm not sure what they call this kind of show. Yeah, video podcast. We'll go with video podcast. Yeah, do like and subscribe to us. We post new content almost every week. Alright, and with that, we're signing out. See ya.